Hi, it's Steve and Joe from Freshagenda, and Steve, we're back, but not together.
No, a little slip up this morning. I did a full video coverage of this set of slides, and matters going on. And it didn't record any sound, which is the best part, surely.
Surely.
We've got a weekly, not very weekly take, covering quite a bit. We'll look at the rally that wasn't, mostly out of the EU, another sparkling GDT event, and then you picked a few charts of the week this time.
Seems I have.
Right. So I've got there the rally that lost steam. In the run up to this, we had a rally that in the EU which ran at a puff in the last week, and everything's relaxed. So that also flowed into the Oceania region, and we saw in the wind up to this, a weaker pulse result last week, and futures have relaxed as well. As you can see, they're quite a bit in the first few months. The European market weaker in both butter and skim. Still got quite weak cheese prices, which is a drag, and it's an attempt to get cheese prices up by managing milk supply might be underway, but it's only going to push more into the commodities. So the commodities rallied for several weeks, but this week they came back according to spot quotes, and there you can see what the futures have done. Over in the US, a little more constrained. I guess the US market is lost a little in the early parts of the cheese forward curve, but that's prior to today. And in non-fat, we've lost a bit of ground as well, but generally fairly steady.
Just a bit of a gap opening up between blocks and barrels there, Steve.
Just a bit of a gap. Yeah. A lot of reasons for that, I guess. Some of that's domestic US dynamics, but that's widened out to over $800 as of the overnight spot prices. Several things going into that. Not really much of that is relevant for the international market, except the fact we're hearing that barrel demand might be impacted by some of that cheaper EU cheese that's out there looking for a market. But also some domestic US issues, such as a lot of cheap spot milk that is being processed and stored. So, yeah, that's going to take a little while to work its way out of the system.
Sure. So that's the backdrop to this week's event.
Yep.
And it's all pretty down there, Steve.
Yeah, some of those are small. I mean, it's a fine call. I could have put CITES on the skim and the butter in Europe, but the prices are a little weaker this week. Certainly in the futures markets, they're weaker. So yeah, everything's got a red hat. So leading into this event, we expected it to go down. It didn't disappoint, but the butter result was interesting. The fat, quite mixed, and if you netted out the fat effect of this change, there's probably not much in it, but it was certainly stronger and didn't quite bust the $5,000 a ton mark, but it's gone very close. And cheddar was quite weird. You think of that. Maybe the short term, there's a bit of pressure from cheaper product elsewhere, but looking longer, the pretty strong prices that came out to C5, which was above 5,300 for cheddar, which is pretty good in this market.
Sure.
So demand for the powders was weaker, quite a bit weaker than average. You can see that compared to the previous events. That data's come back this time. Last time we had the video, I had to put a big slash across the page because we didn't have it.
Many people around the world were disappointed.
Yeah,
sure.
I feel a lot better too. This just rounds out this summary, right?
Yeah.
China is kind of a little bit back. The skim milk powder buying, and you'll have more about that in the charts at the end, but skim milk powder buying was good, and the best individual tonnage at an event for several years for skim milk powder.
It's very strong, isn't it? And whole milk powder back a bit as well.
Yeah, there was less offered this time, so about nearly 800 tonnes less was sold. The whole milk powder participation was up a little, So yeah, I mean, it's certainly improving. I think skim is more a direct reflection of what's going on in the market. Whole milk powder's got that stocked, well-stocked local situation to get through yet.
Sure.
Southeast Asia retreated in skim milk powder as China came back for a bit more. Yet, the whole milk powder buying was also up a bit, but declining seasonally. Always like these two, the relativities. That gap is narrowed between the dotted orange line, which is the recombined value of European skim and AMF. That's come back to nothing on latest whole milk powder prices, and the AMF premium is
down again.
Down again.
Yeah.
Back to being a heavy discount.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's probably a wrap for the GDT event. Joe, what have you got for us in charts?
Well, we've got some trade data to round off 2020. December trade data came out, and we've got it a little bit down on the prior year in milk solids equivalent. But if we just go to some of the destinations, obviously China again weighing on the trade as a region, but with some other regions reasonably positive there. Yeah. And going to the categories, again, whole milk powder well down, but a bit of increased trade in skim milk powder and fats there to at least partially compensate. But yeah, still down year on year in December.
That you really see the effect of those Chinese lockdowns, can't you? And their changing milk use.
Yeah.
Milk powder demand.
Absolutely.
Fats are very encouraging. I mean, our annual summary will be out shortly, just showing, and part of that is the highlight of fats really resurging globally. You can see it in that line. Just about all those bars of fats are up through the year.
Yeah. And obviously, just with that higher availability of skim, there is a bit more skim trade as well, including into China. So
coming to China, then you've added some good little highlights here. This data came out overnight, so it's very fresh. Doesn't look that good. This is the horror chart we all feared. What if China turned off the whole milk powder tap? And here we're right there. That's small change year on year, but a mighty change in the total season.
Yeah, that big peak has just completely gone almost. So quite a different situation, sort of season to date for New Zealand whole milk powder into China. Yes. But what about skim, Steve?
It's as if you knew this was coming.
Yes.
This is more encouraging. I mean, skim New Zealand isn't the only supplier, but and the numbers on the left-hand side are fairly small.
Yes, compared to whole milk powder.
But it is showing a recovery is well underway. I mean, the full trade data for January will be interesting to see. December was reasonably good. So we are seeing increased activity that's flowing into this trade
and sustained. I mean, it's also, I suppose, a little bit interesting that we're just seeing a flattening in that what was very seasonal trade, just with the importance of that tariff window no longer there. So it's just a bit more less spike trade.
Yeah, it's probably a bit of a reload in these numbers for skim milk powder as well, after running down stock. So, all right. Well, we weren't sitting together to do this. It's a shame because we did the first one in our kitchen. You could see the grog cupboard and all that sort of stuff. But you've got a lot of things behind you there which we don't need to talk about.
It's a real mess. Plenty of grog here too.
Right. Okay. All right. That's it from us. We'll be back soon. Thanks for watching.